Week 11, right around the corner. Hawks just coming off a bye, sitting at 4-5, fourth in the
Hmm.
division. Not too far back off the top with the Cardinals going into a bye week. Um,
I think we're
you know,
also 11th. Like we are the 11th seed in the NFC as of right now before the games get started for this new week.
mhm.
So technically still in the running, but we need to do a lot to stay in the running.
Yeah, and so we're at that mark. I think it's time we take a look back on this season so far.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, where do we begin?
Um, Take it with, and then we won't stay there too long, but it starts in the off season, right? That's where McDonald's in. We got the draft. We drafted our players. I feel like we had a decent with the picks that we had. We had no second round. We drafted who we had. All of who we think is going to help us out. We drafted DT in the first round. We drafted Christian Haynes in the third round for guard and all that stuff, but. I think, and actually, I think we're going to even have some more of those rookies play upcoming soon. So now into the season, I think a lot of it depends. It also starts with what was one's expectations of the Seahawks this season. That's the only way to start this. Like, what was your expectations going in?
Yeah, I mean that's actually a fantastic leading question. But let's rewind a little bit. I think the off season kind of led that into our what our expectation would be, leading into the
Hmm.
preseason. I mean, the off season that we had, it was a bit, and it was we didn't know what to expect. New coach, new scheme, both sides of the ball. We don't know if the current players were going to fit. We don't know if the new players were going to fit. Um, so I mean, that leading into that, we were very active, signed a lot of free agents,
Hmm.
took the one of the best defensive players in the draft, and after like a historic draft where like the first like 14 players went offense, right?
Hmm.
So coming into the season, I think expectations were probably around. I thought we'd be like a 10-win team. I really did.
Wild
10
card,
and
like a wild card or no playoff, in your opinion, at the time?
NFC West was tough. I mean, I think on the fringe of a wild card, but
Okay.
maybe a 9-8 versus a 10-7 or something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just like with a 1 game margin of error. Looking at our schedule, at the time we didn't know who Minnesota was going to be. Teams like that. We didn't know who the Cardinals were going to be. So leading up to the season, we thought we were. I thought we were going to be like 9-8, but here we are. I mean, where did you think we were going to land?
I was in that area where it's like we have like a capped off at like 10-7 kind of thing, 9-8 kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Only, and I think we could have got a wild card playoff. I still think we can. Um, and just like with the first half, I mean, again in the offseason, we had our draft pick. I think also the draft picks that we got, finally getting a DT, Byron Murphy the second out of Texas. We got some linebackers, some tight ends. I forgot we got a guard in this past draft, but we haven't heard from him much this season. But we've actually, in terms of like, with this first half of games, we've seen a majority, if not all of our rookies play. Like we had both. We had Mike Jarrell, who was our sixth round pick, our last pick, actually playing at tackle for the past some weeks because right tackle's been hell.
Yeah, I mean injuries have definitely been a headline. Like where has Uchenna Nwosu been? But I do like the pick of Byron Murphy. I think the season that we're seeing from Derek Hall and Boye Mafe and other folks, I think
Hmm.
that is a result of guys like Leonard Williams and um, uh, Byron Murphy, up in the middle to
Yeah.
create those take those double teams and stuff like that. Um, but after that, like I don't. Hopefully Tyrese Knight, with Terrell Dodson is
Hmm.
being waived, and I think now he's on the Dolphins or something.
Yeah,
Um,
it's all just blech,
yeah,
just
it's just
especially like our off-season picks of linebacker because we got rid of everyone
yeah,
and then they're all gone. Either they've been traded or waived.
yeah.
So at least we got some picks out of it
I
or
mean, it's
rookie
just such
picks.
a confusing. We're so confusing, and that's the only thing. Like Ernest Jones, I think has already hit with his just his presence. He's
Hmm.
already shown like they already had him leading the team out of the tunnel. 2 weeks into his time here, that doesn't happen. You got to earn that, right? Then he
Yeah.
earned it quick. But Christian Haynes, like third round pick, you expect third round picks on the offensive line, they contribute. Like, and he's been healthy scratches. Like that seems like a big miss. Mike
Yeah.
Gerald, thank you for filling in at right tackle, but you're our fourth string right tackle. Like, what are we doing here, right? And it's maybe it goes against the organization. I try to use the excuse: new team, new scheme. Everything is fresh. You don't know how the players are going to fit,
Hmm.
but I think we got Connor Williams off an ACL injury on a 1 year deal as center. He has not been looking
Hmm.
good. Lakin Tomlinson, who is on his way out. We let Damian Lewis go. You just kind of wonder where that went wrong, or where that judgment was made, that we didn't, especially with an injury riddled Abe Lucas as well. When he's playing fantastic, but when he's not, we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to kind of get things going too, it's just like the season was going great in the beginning. We had our wins, we had really good wins. Some of I would say they were good wins, but they were ugly wins. If you remember
They
that,
were
the
tight.
Broncos, the Patriots, now the Dolphins,
Dolphins.
that they didn't have Tua at the time. That's why that was such a dominant win. Then of course we had the Lions. That was kind of like you know what, we lost, but that was a good loss in our book. When that happened, but then after that week, that's when like the month of October was hell. And that was the Giants, the 49ers, those two big losses, especially the Giants. To this day,
That
that's
one
like,
hurts.
that one hurts because all they did was just run the ball. And it's just like, where's our run
With this guy
defense?
that nobody knew because nobody can replace Saquon Barkley, and was it Tyrone Tracy Jr.? Is that his name?
I think.
Tracy Jr. I think that's his last name.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like he had a field day. It was like 15 carries for like 100 plus yards or something like that. Like he
Yeah.
he, he tore us apart. And Daniel
Giants and
Jones looked,
49ers, man. Oof, those two
yeah,
games. Just
those two.
they rushed on us. Daniel Jones was serviceable there, but that's because we couldn't get to him as much as we should. But then if you're running the ball on us,
Yeah,
Daniel Jones doesn't have to do much, right? Even for Brock Purdy with them in that game. We know about that game already. There's not much to talk about, but I would say those two games, if not the games prior to them,
hmm
was what led us to, trade for Ernest, and of course getting rid of Dotson as we did this past bye week. And it's not like,
and
Dotson is
trading
a
away Baker as well too, as part of that
yes.
earnest deal.
Yes, and so we got rid of all of our off-season linebackers and stuff like that. And it's not like Dotson was like bad. It's like he's a good player, but not for this type of champion. We know we have a championship type of team. Maybe I can't say Super Bowl, but at the very least, like we can win some football games. But like that run defense, we got to change it. Ernest Jones, he's been a rock now, and now we got Tyrese Knight, who was our fourth round pick. He is going to be starting. He did start a couple games, but now he's going to be staying there and getting his reps the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I think for sure, I will say it's been a rough go for the first time head coach. There is going to be growing pains. But I
Mm-hmm.
think the thing that we chatted about this a little bit too is I like the fact that we're iterating quickly, to use a tech company term. We're whatever we had from this off season. I think in previous like organizations, we would have just stuck through it stubbornly until they kind of figured it out. But here we are. We made the trade for. We were one of the first teams. I know we didn't do nothing at the deadline, but we were one of
Hmm.
the first teams to actually make a trade, and that trade had an immediate impact. I know we didn't win the game against Bills; we got our asses kicked, but that he had like 12 or 13 tackles in that game already. Like he was an instant contributor, and it really shows you where the bar should be. If everybody's kind of bad, the bar is low. Everybody just kind of looks middling, and then that's when you get red herrings. You start blaming coaching and stuff like that. But
Hmm. Hmm.
if you see a very good caliber player, you can see where the bar is supposed to be for this defense, and it's showed the last couple of weeks. It seems like the defense is starting to turn a corner, and that's at least one phase of the ball that's starting to do well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's just been it's the first half. I mean, at the end of the day, we can talk more on like what you think our rookies have done so far. I know I've kind of mentioned them here and there just in passing, but you know, besides that, at the very least, I think we're going to see how they look after this bye. That's yet to be seen. I can't say, oh yeah, Seahawks they got it going for the next half of this season, right? But the first half, at the very least, I was happy. I guess some things I've been happy about is hey, I do like to see a new look offense. I do like, especially in the beginning, we were running the ball a lot back then. until obviously it turns out we can't run the ball. But we were supposed to be with Ryan Grubb as an offensive coordinator. Go Huskies. The air raid offense he's been trying to give us has not pushed. And again, straight from college into here, so it's one of those. I think he was supposed to be a head coach at Alabama, if not somewhere else
He was
before.
coordinator.
Oh, coordinator still?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's still. I know he got another job, and then he's like, you know what? But Seahawks are calling me. Let me go over
I
there.
mean, he didn't sell his house when he got when Kalen DeBoer got the Alabama job for sure. Um,
Yes. So I feel like we still have a lot to get through on offense. If we can get through the growing struggles on there, I feel like our offense can be something special. That the 49ers game, I know we had like some points that could have been there, but
yeah.
like that big pass to like DK should have had like at least 2 touchdowns that game and stuff. But mistakes. It's
I
been a
mean,
lot
there
of
was a game.
mistakes.
There was a game that I think which was it last week against the Rams that JSN should have had like 240 yards and like
Yeah.
two touchdowns.
Yep.
Like
Hmm.
we don't. So there are two different kinds of coaches, right? There are the kinds that come with their own philosophy, and they try to implement that with the personnel that they have, or there are coaches that look at the personnel they have and try to establish an identity based on that. For example, Popovich in basketball, he kind of was one of the more flexible in terms of what his philosophy was and on how he wanted to run the team. For the Seahawks, for us to know what the Seahawks are trying to do, we don't really have the offensive line that can allow any sort of play calling, to take hold, right? And so I think we've been passing the ball a lot. I mean, we're the second. I think even after last week or 2 weeks ago, we're first in the league in passing yards per game, 270 yards. We're 27th in rushing yards. And I don't think that's an accident. Remember those games that Kenneth Walker was injured in the middle? We had Zach Charbonnet, and Zach Charbonnet is a bigger back, right? He would like to run in between the tackles, and he can also pass catch. But we don't have the offensive line that does that. And so when you can't, we were just trying to force Zach Charbonnet to run around the edge when he's not that kind of running back. That's why when Kenneth Walker came back, we played better, right? It just kind of starts there, and that's just a glaring miss. I think we didn't put enough there.
I think our Charbonnet, we underutilize him even still with this current offense, if that makes sense. Like from when he was starting and stuff, I was like, we can do a lot more with him. I'm not saying he's the fastest, but he has so much for him. He's got good hands and stuff. I think it's just a lot of
He's
just
strong
like you
too,
said.
dude. Like he's jacked.
Oh my god, yeah. And like the only issue is your running backs can't give you anything if they can't run the ball. And like that's what's been the story for the past several weeks is offensive line woes. And from the defensive side, I think it was like our defensive line not getting enough. There was times our defense will get the sacks and stuff. Like the Atlanta game was like our best defensive game to date so far. I'm not going to include. I guess we can include the Dolphins game, but like to me,
Dude, even the Rams game, except for 2 drives, we were very good on defense. Like we were fantastic on defense. I think I would go as far to say we forced the most 3-and-outs in Sean McVay's career or something like that. That game, that doesn't happen, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I don't know. It's just we had those times where our defense is good, but again, we started off the season with all those mistakes, the penalties, and we were winning, but it was such ugly wins. They're never like clear cut. Like that was a good win. Like Atlanta, that was a good win. I can say that was a good win. Dolphins, while Tua isn't there, that was a good win. I haven't really had many. That was a good win for us ever since, because otherwise, like the Rams game, we should have won that one. Defense just couldn't hold out, and offense wasn't, because if you're 20, like less than 20 points, man, you're not going to win games if you can't score over 23 points. Like, we got to be above the 23-point threshold, in my opinion, to win a lot of these games, especially if you're trying to go into the playoffs. You're going to go up against teams that can score, and I mean score. KC, all of them, right? Or even NFC side of things, like the Eagles and all of them, they're going to score.
Commanders too, like the Commanders.
They will score.
Yeah. I mean, you want to talk a little bit about how badly we've been shooting ourselves in the foot?
Oh my God. The past 2 weeks alone, right? Like a lot of
the
like
Niners game was
Bills,
probably one of the worst ones too. Yeah, the Bills too.
The Bills to me was the worst one. At home, 31-10 at home, and I know that there's good to see players fighting, but when you get to a point where you have players fighting on the sideline and stuff like that, that is a bad sign. Like we imploded. That was the game where everything went wrong. I know 49ers game was oof, and Giants game was oof, but the biggest oof of a game we've had, Bills. That was the big one. I'm
Yeah.
not. We should have had more than 10 points there, but I'll say past 3 games we have not gone above 21 points, and
Yeah.
that's terrible on the offensive side of things.
Yeah, so shooting ourselves in the foot, that's an interesting, like that shows up in many ways across the three phases of the game, right? On defense,
Yep.
it's missed tackles and blown coverage, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we've been trending in the right direction with that. We've been missing tackle, or we were very good tackling early on. Midway
Mm-hmm.
through, we started whiffing on everything and getting blown in coverage. But then it seems like we're starting to get a clamp on things again. Uh, Special teams, it's blocked kicks in crucial situations. Like we had its opportunity to go to overtime against the Giants, and that kick got blocked. I mean, obviously the play was. I mean, if you ask me, it was illegal when you pinned down the long snapper like that.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have muffed like 6 kicks this season. Like that's
So
like even in the Niners game, I think we muffed 2, but they gave one of them back because
I think
they didn't
since
have
that,
high
but
definition
since the
cameras.
49ers game, we've fixed that special teams. Because I know we got one of our returners back, or we put a different returner back there for sure.
I think it's still D Williams. You might be right, but I think against the Bills he had one as well too, which is two
Because it was
games ago.
Laviska Chenault was our original returner, and he actually scored one in the 49ers game.
Yeah,
That was that same game. I
yeah,
remember that. Then he had to step out though.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then on offense, shooting ourselves in the foot is just getting blown up at the line of scrimmage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not being able
Mm-hmm.
to assert any sort of game plan whatsoever. And it's great to see, like you said, special teams maybe it's starting to trend in a little bit in the right direction as well too. I've been really hard on it. I'm pretty sure Jay Harbaugh is still playing for his dad or something like that, coaching for his dad, because it looked like sabotage early on. Defense is
Yeah.
trending in the right direction. We have a defensive head coach, but offense just that is where it's just been killer for us. I mean, yeah, we can put all the yards on the board. We can have all the big plays. We have those big plays. The only reason we were in those games is because DK is our big play threat, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it just
JSN's been really good. So if in a sense, not even in a sense, we have our 2 good receivers, and then Tyler Lockett is still being Tyler Lockett over there. Love him. He's been really good for us this season. So offensively, it's just, and I know I know Gino feels it too. It's like we just gotta at least execute on the offense. Let the defensive issues, they will sort themselves out. But if you can keep scoring to keep yourselves in the game, that's all you need to do.
dude, the Rams game was so tough too because they had like 5 rookies on that defense, and they were handling that offensive line. I mean, Jared Verse is already going to be. You could already tell he's going to be a menace to the entire league.
Mm-hmm.
And fuck, because we thought we were in the clear after Aaron Donald retired. But here we are again. But yeah, we get put in situations where Gino needs to be a hero. You don't expect Gino to be a hero. We don't expect Sam Darnold to be a hero. We wouldn't expect any other quarterback like in that.
Even our backup Howell from the Commanders. Like I know he's had starting experience, but I don't want him to be like, I need you to throw like 50 times or
Yeah.
40 times. You don't need to do
Because
that.
we've seen that's not what wins games in this league. It's going back to running the football, right? But
Yep.
so we talked a lot about where we've been. Where do you think we go from here?
Well,
Fuck.
with this up, yeah, right. I hope at the very least it depends on what your expectations are for the team. So this is like a team with. At the end of the day, this team has growing pains, and that's going to be felt this season. I hope we can win more of our next set of games to at least try to get to or get over 500, so we can at least attempt to get a wild card spot. But we have Tyrese Knight, our 4th round pick, coming in. He's going to start like for the rest of this season. So I hope that we can see the linebacker from UTEP and see if we have something in him, or do we need to get someone else in the offseason?
We need to keep iterating, yeah.
Yeah, so AJ Barner's been good,
Yeah, that's
tight
been
end.
good.
So that was surprising. I was just kind of like, okay.
Can he play
like,
guard?
I mean, he can block for us on the outside. I don't know about putting him officially at guard on the inside. That'll be. I thought again. I feel like that was a miss in the trade deadline to go get a guard, in my opinion.
Even one guard, dude. Like then you can
One,
at least
just
like,
at
move
least
it
have an
around.
extra body, and you can get
Yeah.
rid of one of the old. Because here's my thing: if he was so comfortable in getting rid of all of our linebackers, including Bobby Wagner, which I feel like that was I'll put that as a
That one
negative.
hurts.
Yeah, that's also a negative to me with this team, was also letting Bobby Wagner go. At least let him stay one season, so at least you have something to like fall back on. He may not be the linebacker you want, but it's better than, as you can see, it's better than the off-season ones that we got because they're gone.
Yeah.
So We have
Secondary
this.
hasn't been bad. I mean, Reek Woolen's
Yeah,
been
yeah.
good. Spoon, he's been missing a lot of tackles, but he still continues to be a difference maker. Julian Love has kind of stepped up in this leadership role, and that was another gem that
Oh
like
yeah.
Schneider is the most frustrating thing is like I don't think I want Schneider to go because as long as we iterate quickly and continue to play this crapshoot game, but he either hits very well or he makes misses, right? And there's like no in between. We
In
don't
terms
have
of
serviceable
trades,
players.
trades and free agency pickups, he's been really good. It's on the roster building because you have to be good in all three. So I
Mm.
will at least say, I'm not saying he's going to get let go this season. I wouldn't be surprised if he did get let go, but you have to start, making Schneider accountable though, because he has helped build the team.
Yeah.
He's the main one doing it, and I love to say that like he makes some really good savvy picks, but a lot of our if you have to really think of how many of those previous first round picks are still on this team today and what have they done for us, right? Right.
Zero.
So
Besides
that's a lot
Charles
of
Cross.
things. Yeah, except for Charles Cross and now Byron Murphy.
Byron,
So
yeah.
like, that's another thing, and even the second and third round pick. So I'm just gonna say that at the very least Schneider's in a little bit of a hot seat. I feel like he needs to, especially when building our team, because especially from a defensive line standpoint and offensive line, it hasn't been that great
Mhm.
historically. Could be a lot better. He's not the worst GM. I'll just say that. I mean, there's always Jerry
And then there's
Jones.
like guys. The thing that's frustrating, he found guys like he goes out and gets guys like Uchenna Nwosu, and
Yeah,
he has a great year. But then he also goes out and gets guys like Draymond Jones, who's kind of just like a little bit of a miss. But
we've
then
moved
get
him around. We've moved
yeah.
him around the D line to find a place for him, but I guess it
Yeah.
just hasn't worked out. I think he's
I
at
mean,
a
we'll get like a
linebacker now.
Quandre Diggs and Julian Love, fantastic pickups for
Hmm.
what we gave up, and then we'll go and overpay for a Percy Harvin or a Jamal Adams. It's just like nothing in between.
Fun fact: Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs, I believe, are not out for the season, but I think they're both on IR. If not, they're injured
Yeah.
at the moment.
So I
So
mean,
that was something.
yeah.
Yeah.
You want to you want to go through the next few games and just see kind of where we land. So we're sitting at 4-5.
Well, real quick, I just got one last thought. We have also, this is just for the rookies, and we can move
Oh,
forward.
yeah, for sure.
We've practically played everyone on our and that we've drafted except for Satawa Lamea from Utah. That's a guard, by the way, which is funny. You would think we would at least try him out at guard at some point, but I don't think we let him
Dude, just how bad
get
does
some
Christian
reps.
Haynes have to be a healthy scratch? That's the thing I can't wrap my mind around
I
it.
think also because of who they're trying to keep certain bodies in the game, and like you may want all these people on the defense. Let's just say like, oh, I need these. I got to have these five at this position. Okay, we have the healthy scratch one. And the only reason why I know that is a little bit is because of NFL head coach '09. I don't know if you ever played that one on the
No.
360 or PS3, but you actually will have to make certain cuts, and it's like you have a health. That's why they actually do will they will you can actually make healthy. You have to make healthy scratches yourself. Like, okay, I have this rookie over here, but I'm not playing him, so just
Yeah.
scratch him out. That's just one person you don't have to worry about. But I feel like they should just let Christian Haynes be out there. But from what I remember saying, they just said that he's not ready yet, power wise or other, like it does. Like if you're in the trenches, it's not like you just come in and
Yeah.
you can just like
Guard
wreck
guard, you got to
shop.
be a big body. But the thing is,
Yeah.
I've never seen an offensive lineman get a 0 PFF rating. And I think Anthony Bradford has had it a couple times this season. Like it's
Yeah.
been one of those.
They're keeping Bradford in and just keeping Haynes out. My thing is make a decision because we were also doing the
Yeah, that's
switching,
would be.
like testing out, like okay, let's let Christian Haynes get like 40% of the snaps. Let's get Bradford get 60% or vice versa. It doesn't matter. It's annoying and like you just got to keep him in there. But otherwise, besides Haynes, Nehemiah Pritchett. The two cornerbacks we picked up from Auburn, Nehemiah Pritchett and DJ James, they both actually had a chance to get in the game and start sometimes. So hopefully they can come make hopefully we can say we made a good picks with those cornerback picks because we need the depth. Otherwise, we've been playing practically everybody else
Yeah.
in our rookie class, and I feel like our rookie class is solid. Byron Murphy the second, I kind of want to see some more from him. I know he had some injuries and for a period of time, but I I I think it's one of those things where like give him like this season, definitely for next year, he's going to be a monster. That's just my
Yeah.
opinion though.
Yeah, I think so too.
But
I
you
would
can definitely
definitely.
talk about the next set of games after though.
Yeah. I definitely kind of wish he had a little bit higher trajectory. But he kind of had to take a step back when he got hurt. I think maybe he was lingering with. Was it like a?
It was a hamstring issue.
Yeah, hamstring. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like lower body. But yeah, so obviously that's his whole game is, leverage power. Not the biggest guy, not the tallest guy. So he did take a step back. He's got good veteran leadership around him too, though, because guys like Jaron Reed, He got in a fight with Derek Hall. That fight ended up being a kumbaya moment right on that sideline. Boye Mafe, the guys that are kind of in his age group. And then you got like a Leonard Williams, like Uchenna Nwosu, even though he's not playing, he's still a leader on that defense.
We have the pieces. We just got to execute as a team. That's what it feels like to me.
The defense feels exciting. Like we see all these players, and we know how well they can do. It's just
not working out.
It's just not working out. And that's the thing is that like the defense can give the offense as many chances as we want, but it just doesn't feel like the offense can execute. No matter what the game
defense
plan is.
But defense definitely needed to tighten things up though, because let's say that Giants game and the 49ers game was very telling. The broken, not just from like the coaching standpoint, but even from the player standpoint. So we've made those changes, and looking at our next set of games, we got the 49ers. We talked about that one already.
We're sitting at 4-5, right?
Yeah, 4-5 in the season.
Like next week we got the Niners. Do we think?
Then Cardinals.
So what do we think? I mean, let's just go off and think games that we're going to win. Just we don't have to go in depth.
49ers. So anything NFC West that can go any way. Literally at this point, like 49ers. I hope we can get a win. Cardinals. It's like I hope we can come out and play the Cardinals, but they're on fire. They're like on a 4-win streak right now, if I remember correctly. And I really can't tell you what's going to happen with those two games. The Jets, I feel like we can win that one, but if we are still making the same so the Jets come after the Cardinals in December 1st, but if we can take advantage of them being on a slump and stuff like that, I feel like we can get a win with the Jets. Mm-hmm. I don't know what you think, but that depends on if we don't make the same mistakes, like Geno having a meltdown, all that type of stuff, interceptions.
I think after the second Arizona game, because it goes Niners, Arizona, Jets, Arizona, we play them in quick, turnaround. I think after that we'll probably be like a 2-2, and I don't, you could take the win. I think we beat the Jets, but you can take the other win from wherever of those 3 games.
Unless you're saying we go 1-1 with the Cardinals, essentially splitting it at best.
Or maybe we get swept by the Cardinals and we beat the Niners. I just think there's one game win, of those 4 games at least we win 2, and then the remaining 4 games is Green Bay, Minnesota, Chicago, Rams. I think we could win against. It's at Chicago, at Rams, but I think we could win both those games. It's going to be a December game, and that's going to be tough for Geno. We know he's not a cold weather quarterback, but that Chicago team is kind of reeling. I don't know. We'll see if they found the answers after Shane Waldron is gone. So we win those 2. I think we could win one of Green Bay and Minnesota. Minnesota's kind of reeling.
Man, Green Bay, like the NFC North, with them over there, I feel like we can win the Bears and the Rams, but those 2, I can see a loss. Especially the Vikings are still the Vikings are being the Vikings. Especially that passing game they got going.
That defense is unreal too. Like Brian Flowers,
Michael Flores, yeah. Mm-hmm. Flores over there.
And you remember, like, when we first started this, I was hyped on him a couple of years ago. Like I thought he was a defensive genius, and he's kind of showing that he was. I mean, he was
he couldn't make it as a head coach, yeah. But as a defensive coordinator,
kind of like Cliff Kingsbury, right?
Yeah, same. Because Cliff Kingsbury, for those that don't know, he worked with Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Flores, he from what he said recently, he's just been saying, like, man, I've taken stuff from both the Patriots and the Steelers, and that's where I am today, kind of like in my defensive guru stuff. So I mean, hey, you took from the 2 correct teams.
Yeah.
I know the Patriots aren't as. I'm talking about like Patriots from when Belichick was still there. So at least take the good things from each of those defenses, especially the Steelers. Steelers always have a thing going on.
So of those 2. Of those, the Packers and Minnesota, we play both of them at home. Does that change anything for you?
The one game where I feel like out of the 2 that I feel comfortable is Packers, but then that's Jordan Love and then Sam Darnold. Like Sam Darnold, if he's
and like James, what's his name? James.
For who?
The running back for Packers. Why am I blanking here? He's having like he was on. He's from
the Raiders. He's from the Raiders.
I'm so stupid. Let me just
look it up. I don't know why I'm blanking, because he ran on us before.
Josh Jacobs, sorry.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs. There you go.
Yeah, and he had like a 300-yard game against us.
They have 2 quarterbacks at the Packers. Even if you get Love out, Malik Willis has been doing good for them too.
Yeah.
So like I don't think those 2 games are going to be losses, and I know they're at home, especially the fact that the Packers one is a Sunday night. Mm-hmm. Is that Sunday, December 15th? It's either Sunday or Monday.
Yeah, Sunday night. Yeah.
Okay.
Sunday night.
Yeah, that's prime time. I don't like the Packers are on. They're in a tough division, and we haven't been. I feel like those two are our losses. I
Yeah.
feel like the Bears and the Rams, we can come back for those two wins. And if we're saying like currently it's a 4-4, like what we're basically saying to each other is that this is going to be 4-4 the rest of the season, which lines up with us going like
Eight and
what is
nine.
it, 8-9, right? 8-9, 9-8, 10-7 at the best. It's still within that range, but that's if we can come back. We gotta like if we come back with like a 3-win streak or something like that at some point in the early, that can help. But what I'm looking for is defense find their identity. I want to kind of see that more of the defensive flair from McDonald for the defense. Offense, we're going to make some changes after this season, but like I want to see the offense come together and just to see like where we're going to go to in the next season.
Yeah, I think I'm treating the rest of the season kind of like a preview. I don't think a wild card spot is on our
Just see what we
radar.
got with the pieces that we
Yeah,
have. Who
after
you
a
think we
certain
need to
point,
let
like
go?
even the next four games, we thought. I mean, like I said, maybe 2-2. Like if it goes 1-3, I think maybe
Hmm.
try to throw out some of the kids out there. Like throw out the like at a certain point, maybe throw Sam Howell out there and just to see like what we got there. At a certain point, we need to start letting these guys audition for next season.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know who else we would
We're
throw out
practically
there.
playing all of our. We're practically again. We're
Yeah, that's what we're
practically
already
playing
playing our
all of our
rookies.
rookies except for Lamea, the guard from Utah, which is funny. I think if the season is like it's gone, we're gonna probably start putting all our rookies up. That's like the only rookie I haven't seen out there.
Yeah.
So we're playing all of our rookies. It's just a matter of if you think these rookies are going to be good or not. But I think we have a solid set of rookies. It wasn't the best class. It was not the worst class. I will definitely tell you, it's not the worst class of for the drafting. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Any other final thoughts here for this?
I would just sum up this season so far. Well, midway through the season, I'm giving my Seahawks like a C- right now.
I
I
was
feel
gonna
like there
go
was a
for a
lot of
D. So I mean, you and I are actually kind of in the same ballpark, actually.
there's some positives, but it's been like a lot of negatives. Like that was a miss on not at least going to go get a guard
Yeah.
for like a fifth or a sixth round pick. Among some other changes, especially the fact that like if the fact that we let go of all of our linebackers by the midway season, that's basically more of like in hindsight we should have at least kept Bobby Wagner,
Yeah.
at least for one season. But neither here nor there. There's a lot more some minuses in there than pluses. Like for instance, McDonald is a defensive minded head coach. That means you need to have a strong offensive coordinator to back you up because again, I'm focusing more on defense from a head coaching standpoint. So we have a fresh, offensive coordinator yet again in Ryan Grubb. So hopefully Ryan Grubb can find his way and start piecing things together,
Yeah.
especially if towards the end of the season, if not for next season.
I will say about Ryan Grubb, already way better than Shane Waldron. Like we're not going to argue that.
Everyone's
No,
better than
no.
Shane Waldron at this point, except for when Shane Waldron was on the Rams, right? Because I think he was covered up by McVay.
I don't know why I felt the
So
need to say that, but I feel like we've been held hostage by just diabolical terrorist offenses for like the last, decade almost, ever since Marshawn Lynch retired, or left the Seahawks. But yeah, I think we're gonna find out pretty soon that it's gonna be an audition rest of the season than it is
yeah,
trying to go out there and get something. Because I mean, one of the worst things that could happen is that we just end up being like a Jeff Fisher 8-8 team for like the next 5 years and nothing happens. Right? We need to figure out now so that we can iterate. I mean, they've shown that our linebacker core is gone after halfway through the season. They showed that that they're willing to make changes in the middle of the season, just try to keep things going. But yeah, I don't know.
future slightly. Draft picks, we have practically we have all of our picks except that our fourth and our fifth round pick, fourth, fifth, and sixth are comp picks, so they can turn. That's based on past deals and stuff like that, so they can turn out better. We do have a sixth round from the Bears still, and if the Bears are going to be bad, that'll be a high
Dude,
sixth
that's the
round.
thing. It's like I would have traded away that sixth if it meant we get a guard. Like
Right.
we were
That's what
seeing
I'm.
those
That's
deals.
again. I'm telling. We at
And
least
we had to have made
missed
the
on getting a
calls.
guard.
We had to have made calls. Like maybe it's just that maybe we're not considering that maybe the market wasn't there. Guards are hot commodities now. I don't know.
Or just save it for when we have to, I don't know, make a trade in the draft itself. Because right now, this is just from a standpoint of just like with our picks. Right now, in the first round, we are at pick 15, so very middle ground right there, if not literally at the middle. especially how we end up with the season. We can still be in that area unless we can go a little bit higher. So this is not like my thing of saying let's just tank, but if we do lose more games, that is a higher first round pick. I think right now we are, well, this is just mock drafting. Just the our top three picks. We got Mikael Williams, an edge from Georgia. They got us going, picking a safety in the second round and a quarterback in the third round. As of today,
No offensive lineman, dude. Come on.
well,
Like,
here's the
that's why
thing:
that's
we have a lot of holes. We're at that stage where we have a lot of holes to fix, and I feel like with offensive linemen, I will give you this. With offensive linemen, I think we can make some off-season acquisitions, but that depends on what's there. If not, then we definitely have to look at that for the draft.
Yeah. All right, buddy. We're getting close to time here. Do you have any other last things you wanted to say before we take off here?
I got nothing else besides I'm just here to watch. I don't have that much high of expectations. I'm not going to be mad.
Yeah,
So
I think expectations are gone. I mean, if who knows, we might go 8-0. We won't, but we might.
we might.
All right. Well,
I wish.
thanks. Yeah, me too. Thanks for joining us here at Miss Reps. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you again next time.
Peace.